Good morning everybody, bom dia a todos. We are back, I'm back in Portugal, hooray, thank God. The weather is beautiful. We went out a couple of days ago. It was a bit of a private party. One of my friends, Chris, it was his wife's birthday and her twin brother's birthday. I'll show you a couple of clips, but we didn't film that much. It was a bit of a private party, but we had our first day out. This is what the Portuguese weather forecast describes as partly cloudy. Really? Ridiculous. Just blue sky everywhere. Is it wave, Chris? Andre!
Thank you, Amanda.
No, I
Thank
Wonderful. Back from the shipyard, you can see she has been polished to within an inch of her life, and she's looking absolutely glorious. We've had a bunch of other work done, and in this video today I'm going to run through the work that was done last year, give you a quick update on what it cost to run Andreza last year, and then show you a couple of the jobs that have been done. I'm not going to crawl into the engine spaces today because I've got to go somewhere afterwards, but I'll give you a quick look. It's a bit noisy at the minute because boats are moving about, and I'll give you a quick once around the marina later on if I've got time. So follow me through this video and I'll keep you up to date on what it cost to run Andreza last year, for servicing, for parts that had to be replaced, and then the work that we've had done. Some of it was preventative, some of it was part of a refit that is ongoing. So we'll run you through that. Speak to you soon, guys. Okay, one of the jobs that we had done this year is these gel coat repairs here around the stern cleats, one on each side. It had some spider cracking in it because there's a lot of pressure put onto these things if it's been moored up for a while, and obviously we got some little spider cracks coming off where the cleat joins the hull on the stern side. So we had that taken back to fiberglass, re-gel coated, and we had the same done on the one on the other side. I made a wonderful job of that. Brilliant stuff. And then on the front of the boat we had some more gel coat repairs on the superstructure here on this post that runs up here. We had some slight cracking in the gel just down here. It's under a lot of pressure when it's out at sea, obviously. Lots of waves hitting it, being transferred through the hull. We've got some slight cracking down here. All that was taken back and re-gel coated, and you can see now that's looks like new. Absolutely fantastic stuff. All the superstructure's been polished. The whole boat has been completely polished back, cut back. Absolutely wonderful stuff. Take you back here and we'll show you one of the other jobs that we had done, and that is we had the teak in the companionway replaced there. You can see that's the old teak. It just needs bringing up now. Susie and I are going to treat that and bring it up to the same colour. This will die down a little bit once it's been in the sun for about a month or two, but you can see there the teak in the companionway has been replaced. Absolutely wonderful job they've done there. And there were a few other jobs, and I'll run through those with you as we run through the costings for this year. So, good morning everybody, we're back. We're going ahead. I'm going to run you through what the running costs were last year for Andreza and our adventures as we went out last year. You saw most of them, in fact practically all of them we filmed, so you saw what we did, as long as with some of the work that we were undergoing and we've done to the boat since. So let me just run you through the invoices that we went through last year. We had our usual expenses first of all. We had our marina fees, which were €7,200. That includes the EVA or VAT, that's the value added tax, or the state tax if you wish, or the country tax. We also paid £2,100 for euros, for the insurance, and those are normal standard bills that we get every year. And then we had various costs. We'd already paid for the service before we paid the marina fees. So we'll start with the marina fees, which are really the first expense that we started with the year, and then we'll run through those for you. And we've got we've got all the invoices that we've paid last year. I'm probably going to have to put my other glasses on because I am blind, I'm afraid, guys. Sorry about this. Now, I can see, but I can't read without them. So here we are. The normal servicing that we had, so we had the service and repair on the stern glands on the rear of the boat. That's where we removed the shafts. We had the stern glands replaced, and we had the cutlass bearings replaced, and we paid some marina fees to lift the boat out as well as that. So the cost of repairing the stern glands and the bearings, including the parts and labour, was €2,600. The marina fees were €447. That's paying for the crane and for the space and the time that we take up in the yard. And then on top of that, we ended up with VAT or EVA, if you want, that's value added tax. And the total bill for that was €3,747.81. The next thing that we had done as we were going through, we had the door lock replaced on the little roller shutter that takes you downstairs. It had a problem. Somebody had locked it and then pulled it down and bent it, so we had to replace it. It's not an expensive job. And we also replaced the impeller on the generator water pump. That's the pump that brings the raw water in from the sea, from the ocean, circulates it around the cooling system of the generator. That had gone. We replaced that. While we were replacing that, we started to notice that there had been some wear on that water pump, and we get to that. We replaced that later. We also had a quick inspection of the hydraulic system for the steering, because that was getting a little bit woolly, and the fluid levels in the hydraulics were coming down, and we couldn't find out where the leak was at the time. I'll explain a bit more to that in a moment. We couldn't find where the hydraulic fluid was going. It wasn't leaking anywhere. We couldn't find it anywhere, but the steering was going down and the levels in the hydraulic system were dropping. So we had that inspected, and we ultimately found out that the seal had gone on the hydraulic steering pump, and that seal sits inside the gearbox on the starboard engine, and it was leaking through that seal into the starboard gearbox. And the reason we couldn't find where the hydraulic fluid was going is because it was going into the gearbox, and that meant the gearbox was getting slightly overpressured, and we were getting a pressure reading slightly higher on the starboard engine. So that we decided then at that point we'll get that ripped out. We won't bother replacing the seals, we'll just get a new part and we'll replace the steering pump, which we did later this year. The cost of that inspection and replacing those generator parts for the impeller, etc., was a total of €313.65, and that included the tax. We then serviced and replaced the hydraulic steering pump. As we said, that part, we replaced the oils in both gearboxes, because while we were doing the starboard one, we may as well do the port side engine as well. So we replaced the gearbox oil in both the starboard and the port side engine, and that cost £620 for parts and consumables. That's for the gearbox oil and for the pump itself, and €630 in labour charges to do that. And with the tax, that came to €1,537.50. The last bit we did then was we had a replacement water pump fitted to the generator. As I said, when we replaced the impeller on the water pump for the generator, we noticed it was starting to wear. There was some, if you go back onto one of the videos I did with the engine spacer, you can just see there's some rust forming around one of the seals where the impeller meets the motor for that. So rather than mess about trying to clean it up and just service that pump, we replaced the whole pump, and that was at €400 plus the EVA, so that took it to €492, including the tax. Then we had the major service this year done. So with this year's service, which has just been done, including all the anti-fouling, etc., and I'll give you a breakdown of it now. And that we also had some refit work done, and I'll run through the items as we go through them. So we had the annual service of the Volvo Penta engines, 2 engines, D12 800 engines. With service items and labour, that will include your filters, etc., that you need. So that's your oil filters, and it will be your fuel filters as well that all get changed. That was €1,375. We had the hull and the superstructure polished, and that was €2,600. We had some teak deck repaired, which you'll have seen earlier in the video, and replaced. So we had the old teak taken up. We got a company in, they came, they made templates of the parts that they were replacing, took the old teak up, put the new teak down, sealed it. It's fine. Susie and I now need to get through and make the colours match up by brightening the teak up to bring that back to do. I'll show you that in another video, and we'll show you how the teak comes up once you treat it with a 2-part teak brightener and treatment there, and cleaner. We had the gel coat repairs, so the teak repairs were €1,400 plus EVA, and the gel coat repairs that we had done on the starboard side, stanchion on the superstructure and on the cleats on the stern cleats, just where the spider cracking was. That was €300. We had supplied and fit all the waterline, below waterline anodes done, including the engine anodes, and that was €176 for the parts itself. We had the air conditioning pumps replaced and one of them repaired. That was €220. We had 2 new engine batteries fitted. The engine batteries hadn't been changed since I had it. I replaced the domestic batteries about 3 years ago now, but since I bought Andreza, I haven't seen any kind of invoice at all in all the back paperwork that ever suggested that she'd had new engine batteries, and they were starting to come to the end of their life. They were taking longer and longer to charge up, so we replaced those with 2 180 amp batteries for the motors, and they were €510 for 2, so €255 a piece plus the tax. We had the fire extinguishers, again as part of the safety thing, serviced, and we've got a new certificate here with the statement from the service company that do all the fire safety stuff. We will show you how the life jackets are done in a separate video. We're going to get that done in the next week or so. And then we paid the submariner administration fees, again, which included lifting the boat out, the crane charges, and some time on the hard there. Ordinarily, as part of your contract, you do get 12 days free on the hard. However, last year we had her out a couple of times and we probably went over that a little bit, and so we paid about 4 or 5 days extra charges for sitting on the marina, and those charges were €675 plus EVA. That took the grand total of that service and that refit work that we had done to €8,806.81. Those were all the bits and pieces that we did, servicing, etc. We also, last year, I tallied it up, we spent €8,300 on fuel, bearing in mind that we only went on one really extended cruise. We went across to Ayamonte in Spain once, we went and then up and down the coast, and then we went obviously to Marbella and Gibraltar that you saw in last year's cruising videos, and we spent €8,300 on fuel. That took the grand total running cost last year, given that it was a shorter season because of the COVID thing, and we weren't out as much, to €32,497.77. And that was the total cost of running a boat like Andreza last year. We don't include the cocktail bills from when we went cruising, nor the wine bills for while we're out with some of our friends, because that would just make that pale into insignificance. I'm sure it wouldn't, but it's getting close. Anyway, guys, I hope that's helpful for you. We are going to be out again this weekend. We will be certainly filming everything that we do from now on. We were a little bit reticent to film a birthday party, a private birthday party that was some friends of ours on Monday when we went out. I didn't get back until gone midnight into Portugal, and I was out the next day and tried to organise food and drink and everything else for Jessica's and Andre's birthday party. But it was a good day, and I'll try and include a couple of clips of that in here. Hopefully we will be back out on the water this weekend, weather permitting, and it looks absolutely stunning at the moment, and the sea state is absolutely beautiful, and we will be filming and bringing you videos every single week. I'm really looking forward to this season, guys. We're going to have an absolutely amazing season. We've got some great cruising planned up. We're going to get over to the African coast. We're going to go to Morocco. We're probably going to go to Ceuta, which is a Spanish territory on the North African coast in Morocco, and then we're going to get across to some of the other western ports that we've not yet been to with Andreza, as well as some of our usual haunts. We're definitely going back to Marbella. We may see if we can get a bit further afield. We'll just have to see what the COVID situation is. Hopefully we'll get some more friends joining us this year. People will be able to come out, and Portugal has done again a spectacular job of creating of keeping the pandemic under control. I think this week we've had 3 days where there's been absolutely no deaths at all, and we're now down into about 200 people a day that are infected over the whole country, which is spectacular. Certainly ICU beds are down below 80 now, when they were up in the thousands back in January, and they've got a really, really good grip of this, and hopefully we'll have a great season. I can see lots of the boats getting ready. Lots of the tourist boats are all scrubbing down. They're expecting this green list from the UK to be announced today, and it'd be ridiculous if Portugal wasn't on it. And we'll get some tourists moving through, and you'll hopefully see what a real season looks like on Andreza. I'll see you soon, guys. Take care for now. As you can see, some lovely boats in. Our friends in the big Nord Haven are there. They were out in the yard the other day. That's gone back into the water. We've got a nice big Sunseeker. Seems to be a 90 or something like that. 90 Sunseeker called Gee Whiz. Rather lovely looking thing. And that behind me, you've got I think it's a 90-foot Predator, Sunseeker Predator called Gee Whiz. Not sure who it belongs to just yet. I think it's just visiting. It's a beautiful looking boat. And things have just started to come back to life here in the marina. Hopefully in the next week or so we'll get a lot more activity out there on the ocean. See you soon, guys.